Well, hello everyone. So it seems that my timing was off since when I went to take a break from YouTube, the whole Life by You fanbase was feeling good for the most part about Life by You releasing in June. And then suddenly on May 20th, a bombshell was dropped announcing the delay of the early access launch. And so that really deflated everybody's enthusiasm, really. And although I am a strong believer in letting the chips fall and having patience to wait for more news before arriving to hasty conclusions, I also believe that it is fair to discuss Life by You in the state that it is in now. So for those of you just discovering my channel, my name is Michael and I want to welcome you to Sovereign Gaming in Life Sims, the YouTube channel where I build worlds, lots, and share my thoughts on video games in the life simulation gaming space. Now, it is no secret that when I published my very first videos on YouTube, that I was certainly more than happy to discuss Life by You and analyzing its gameplay mechanics, and more importantly, posing unanswered questions in my opinion. As we get closer to the original access release date back in 2023, after the first delay, I knew that I wanted to offer more gameplay experiences on my channel, which is why I decided to pick up The Sims 3 again, and I'll kind of rendezvous back to this point a little towards the end of this video. Now, today's game plan is really to discuss the current state of things with Life by You, and quite frankly, there is a lot to talk about since a lot has happened while I was taking a break from YouTube. But I'll get to some of those topics in future videos, depending on how things unfold going forward. And at the time that I am writing, recording, and editing this video, no further communication has been received from the Life by You team. And before I carry on with the rest of this video, I also just want to share a disclaimer here that the perfect opinion simply does not exist. I can only share my thoughts on what's going on from my perspective and point of view at this particular point in time. You are more than welcome to share your thoughts in the comment section below, but I just kindly ask that you are respectful. And the reason why I am giving this disclaimer like this is that even though I feel that the dust has settled just a little bit, I have seen pockets of discussion certainly get heated, and there's just like a lot of emotions involved. Now, with that said, the very first thing that I want to talk about is the status of Life by You. Again, as of me writing, recording, and editing this video, again, nothing further has been shared from the Life by You team regarding the status of the video game, so I just kind of have to go based off of what the current status is right now. And so the very first thing that I think we should do is actually read the statement issued by the Paradox Interactive team. So in the following, and I quote, it says, "Hello everyone. After much consideration, we regret to announce that we have decided to retract a Life by You's early access release date previously set for June 4th. This was not an easy decision, especially since we understand the anticipation and excitement that many players have for the game. However, we believe that additional development time is needed. While we would have preferred to commit to a new release window, we believe it is more prudent to hold off while we plan ahead, rather than committing to a new date that we cannot be certain to meet. We will provide more information as soon as possible, and until then, we want to sincerely thank you for your continued support and patience." And it was a message sent by Matthias Lilia, and of course I'm pronouncing that wrong, so I do apologize, who is the Deputy CEO of Paradox Interactive, and that is actually very important in this video going forward. So first and foremost, to you guys, I really want to just say that language is very important here. Now, I'm not here to defend a multi-million-dollar corporation or hand out hopium like it's candy. But nowhere does this statement say that Life by You has been postponed indefinitely. Now, whether you interpret the statement as Life by You being postponed indefinitely is actually on you, but the words as they appear on the screen that I'm screenshotting in this video here, the words from the Paradox team themselves states that it just simply does not state that they have postponed it indefinitely. And I wanted to highlight this because I know a thing or two when it comes to corporate speak. And if they canceled the game straight up, the statement would have said in black and white that it is postponed indefinitely, which is really corporate speak for they canceled it. It's the PC way of saying that they canceled the project. So yeah, so far no statement has been issued with a cancellation message or with a postponed indefinitely message. So we kind of have to take their words as they are presented to us. Rather, the statement states that additional development time is needed and they want to hold off on committing to a release date. This message likely went through a number of checks before it was approved to be then published. And I've been lurking on Reddit and the Early Access Discord, and I'm really not trying to pick on anyone, but the term postponed indefinitely kind of caught wind and it spread like wildfire throughout the community. And I'm really not sure why, as none of that specific verbiage is really in the statement released by Paradox. Like, I have seen the term postponed indefinitely or some sort of variant of that used by influencers on their thumbnails or mentioned in their videos, and that's not what the statement from Paradox is about at all. There's honestly like a lot of emotion surrounding it being postponed indefinitely, which wasn't even a phrase used by Paradox, yet it seems rarer to find someone speculating that they informed us that Paradox believed that additional development time is needed. So it was something that just kind of caught fire here, and something that like couldn't be controlled in terms of the language being used. Again, I'm really not trying to come for anyone, but I just feel like when it came to this news that we have to take the message at face value from Paradox and just be careful about using language and verbiage that's just outside of the statement when discussing it. Otherwise, it does create those misconceptions. I think that in today's world, like, we are so used to having definite black and white answers instantly that when we get something that doesn't fit either of those molds, that it can be hard to recognize. And I'm not being condescending with this at all. I just simply think that the fan base was expecting an immediate answer that was very definite on what the next steps were. Like, the developer was able to provide before, and when Life by You was telling us, when they were telling us that they were postponing to this date or to that date, I think that the fan base was just expecting that. And in this case, they're telling us to just wait and be patient and to hold on for more messages. Just really isn't going over well with the fan base at this time. And honestly, everyone has the right to feel how they feel about it. So like I said, I'm not really coming for anyone for this. It's just an observation that I'm sharing. And I think that the term postponed indefinitely when referring to the Life by You's current status as of the time of publishing this video is not an accurate way to really describe the situation at all. With that said, my own opinion and speculation on this message outside of what we understand it at face value is that there really was a misalignment between the developer and the publisher, and that maybe things were just done a little too quickly. And if I were to analyze and go deeper with a speculation, I would say that they don't know what the development trajectory is right now, and that because they don't know themselves, they can't communicate that to us, the fan base and the players, and therefore they can't give us another date. In fact, I am going to predict here that they likely won't give us another date, just because I think that it's going to be measured in milestones for where the game is at in terms of its development. But that is a whole theory that I have just kind of going on that I wanted to share with you guys. Other than those speculations, I do want to give the Paradox Life by You team the breathing room they need to come back to the community with a clear message on what the next steps are. I think that, like I said, we live in a world where we're very used to instant and definite answers. And when we're told to wait, or when we're told that they're not sure yet, it doesn't necessarily register as a legitimate answer or a legitimate piece of communications. And, in a way, it can be a lot more frustrating than getting a definite, yes, we're continuing to develop this game, or no, we've completely canceled it. So yeah, my heart really goes out to the players in all of this. Like, it's a difficult message to digest. And just with the radio silence that we've really received from the team, it just opens up a whole lot of space for speculations and assumptions. And, there's nothing wrong with talking through what your thoughts are at all. That's why I'm keeping the comment section open. But it's also something that I feel can lead to a lot of misconceptions. And in the and when people were using the terms like postponed indefinitely, I was just, I was really having to check myself just to make sure that I wasn't misreading something in their statements. And I don't think that I am, because they never use that term. and being told to like hold off and to wait is, like I said, almost harder than getting a definite yes or no answer as to whether or not Life by You is going to continue developing and going forward. I'm going to switch gears here now to some new things that I have been learning when it comes to video game developers and video game publishers. And I think that this will help us all to understand why Life by You is in the state that it is in now. Like I did with the last statement from the Life by You team, I'm really going to walk us back to the basics when it comes to understanding who does what, so that I don't get confused first and foremost, but also just to check my understanding to see if I'm clear on it with you guys there. So as far as I can tell from my research, Life by You is being developed and published by Paradox. Stay with me here because this can actually get a little bit confusing. So Paradox Interactive describes itself as one of the premier developers and publishers of strategy and management games on PCs and consoles, according to their website. When doing a bit of digging here, I also discovered another name attached to the Life by You project, and that is Paradox Tectonic, which is the video game development studio. So again, there's that difference between developers and publishers that I am going to continue to refer to throughout this video. So according to the Paradox Tectonic LinkedIn page, which again is the video game development studio attached to Life by You, they describe themselves as a video game development studio working on Life by You serving as its debut title. And also on top of that, like my Google results are also corroborating this description as well and giving me results that are kind of showing the same things. So I wanted to share this research with you guys because Paradox Tectonic is a part of the entire Paradox Interactive group, along with 7 other video game studios. Now I'm gonna get to my, I'm gonna be getting onto my speculations a little bit later, but just bear with me here for a quick second. So according to my research, video game developers or studios are responsible, video game developers or studios are responsible for the actual creation of the video game itself, whereas video game publishers handle the marketing, distribution, financing, and strategic decision-making. When developers have a playable video game, they then hand it over to the publisher, who will then market the product to drive profitability. I do apologize if you guys already knew this, but a lot of this was new information to me, and I also do think that it is important as a refresher when assessing the current state of Life by You and the early access release delay. So if we look back to the message from May 20th and pay attention to who it's from, it's a message from Matthias Lilia. Again, I am mispronouncing your name there, so if you're out there watching this video, which I doubt you are, I do apologize for the mispronunciation. But what's important about the name here is their actual title, and that is that they are the Deputy CEO of Paradox Interactive. Now, if you remember, just a few seconds ago, I pointed out that Paradox Interactive oversees 7 different video game studios, including Paradox Tectonic, which is essentially Life by You because it's their debut title. And in my opinion, it really looks like the 7 different video game studios or developers are answering to the publisher, or at least they can't get their video games out into market until they get approval from Paradox Interactive, which is again the publisher in this case. So getting a message from the deputy CEO of a big video game corporation is much different than getting a message from the video game studio that actually worked and developed the video game. And I don't think it was really to rescue the studio's reputation per se, but I do speculate and think that it came from the deputy CEO is actually more of a reflection that it was the video game publisher that pulled the plug before the early access date. Now that I've got the obvious out of the way, let's move on to something else here. Now, we don't have to look very far to see that there are a couple of fires that Paradox Interactive, the publisher, is managing right now. First, there is the City Skylines 2 fiasco, a video game that has received a lukewarm reception this past year. They have had to cancel the development of the City Skylines 2 DLCs in order to address the issues with City Skylines 2 itself. Those issues revolve around the actual gameplay mechanics, player expectations, and so on. Now, I won't dive too deep into City Skylines 2 since this video is really about Life by You, but I did come across the video from City Planner Plays, an influencer that I respect, and he has been very constructive in advocating for the players for City Skylines 2 with a lot of the constructive feedback that he has provided and all that over time. Anyways, in this video particularly, I'm just going to throw up a thumbnail of it. At the 3549 timestamp, he goes on to explain the general vibes with Paradox and Colossal Order regarding the whole City Skylines 2 situation. I will paraphrase it here, but I certainly encourage you guys to just take a look at the video yourself. But he goes on to explain that in general, they are concerned about time not being on their side when it comes to developing City Skylines 2 over the next 10 years or so. You can listen to it for yourself if you'd like. And again, I'll place the video in the description box as well, just in case you guys want an easy link to it. But I just wanted to point that out, as that is a pretty devastating remark to make regarding the launch of City Skylines 2. And I think that it was a pretty devastating blow to Paradox Interactive, the publisher, in many ways. Another challenge or fire that they have to contend with right now is that I see is Paradox Interactive juggling the release of Prison Architect 2. Now, this is an issue I know even less about, but they seem to be going through a similar timeline as Life by You in that it has already faced 2 delays with a 3rd release slated for September. I'll be keeping my eye on Prison Architect 2 just to see if there is another pattern here, but you know, from the looks of it, it seems like there is. Now, I don't know for certain whether it is the video game developer or the publisher who decides on release dates, and it could be both depending on the situation. Regardless, there seems to be missing communication regarding realistic timelines between the publisher and the video game studio, and I feel like this carries over to other video game titles as well, as we see with City Skylines 2 and with Prison Architect 2, who are both operating under that same Paradox Interactive publisher branch. Now, I just want to be clear that this is just a speculation on my end, but I feel like with really big video game titles in production that have large fan bases, which I think all of these games do, that Paradox Interactive, the publisher, decided that they couldn't afford any more loose ends for the launch of Life by You's early access game, and that the decision to hold off on the Life by You early access was really made from the executive level downwards, taking into consideration like the lukewarm reception of City Skylines 2 and the simultaneous delays of Prison Architect 2 and Life by You kind of happening at the same time. So this is 3 products now offered by Paradox Interactive that at least have Paradox Interactive's name slapped on them that are facing backlash. And to me, that does spell a pattern like I alluded to before. And I do earnestly believe that the Paradox Interactive team felt that they couldn't afford anything short of a perfect early access launch with Life by You, which might have led to the decision of them delaying the early access yet again. With that said, I feel like the decision to delay the Life by You early access launch was definitely a last minute decision, as there was a ton of marketing momentum being built up only to deflate it at the very last second. I mean, Life by You had an entire roster of influencers lined up promoting their videos throughout the month of May. And influencers, mind you, that cost money. And some of these guys had huge followings, which probably costed a pretty penny. Like, that would definitely hurt the marketing budget. But yeah, like, I'm just gonna say it, like, there appeared to be a lot of green lighting for the Life by You team to go ahead and market their early access launch, even though the issues of City Skylines 2 were ongoing at the time. And yeah, it goes to kind of make the case that it was likely a very last minute decision, and perhaps even some panicking on the publisher's end there. So I really don't get like why the brakes didn't get pumped after the second Life by You delay, because they could have, you know, after the second delay, they could have easily have just, you know, said that they were going to look into reaching more development milestones as opposed to setting a date. And the player fan base would honestly be very understanding of that. like, I don't think that they were planning on even opening the early access Discord unless they were very sure that the early access launch was what's going to be happening. So I feel like a lot of things were green lit at the time. A lot of people were saying yes to, saying yes and approving a lot of things to happen to build that momentum and excitement for the Life by You early access launch. And when it was pulled last minute, it just kind of leaves everybody wondering what the heck happened, really. And, you know, why wasn't this ever, why wasn't the trajectory adjusted before you're on the 11th hour of your early access release? So, you know, that's one thing that I really don't get, is why there wasn't more foresight, or at least more discussions. Well, okay, I'm not gonna pretend to know how many discussions there were, but I don't get why one party wasn't listening to the other. Again, this is an assumption, when it came to realistic deadlines and realistic release dates and all that. That's just really how it feels to me, at least. At the same time, though, like, I will give credit in that it is better to delay a release to fix problems before they actually happen and are experienced by the players. I mean, what if the early access version of Life by You was discovered to be unstable? Like, could you imagine the frenzy that the life simulation gaming community would have with that? Like, it would be nonstop chatter on social media, and it wouldn't be good chatter, to say the very least. Again, like, we don't know the exact reasons why they pulled Life by You's early access launch 2 weeks from releasing, but there's probably a lot of good reasons why they felt it was best. And yeah, it's very hard being told, like, hey, you need to wait for us to figure out what we're doing before we can let you guys know what the next steps are. It's a very hard message to deliver, because for one, it gets easily misconstrued, but secondly, you're asking players that you have pulled the rug from underneath their feet 3 times now to wait even longer. And it's like, okay, you know, it does test people's patience, since the original release date was back in 2023, and here we are in May of 2024. But I'll kind of like get into my whole issue with early access games, generally speaking, towards the end of the video. I won't dive into that now. Not too sure if you guys will notice it, but I did switch chairs in between takes there. My cat likes to sit on the chair that I prefer using, the more comfortable one. And so when he takes it, he just likes to nap there, and I just kind of leave him there. Okay, back to the video. Naturally, this leads us to our next question when it comes to questioning the situation, and that is, what changes can players expect for the next early access version? And even though it is a little pointless to ask questions to the air at this point, this radio silence from the Life by You team has really led to a lot of speculations and hopes for what improvements the development team will be making. Now, okay, bear with me here. I can't remember where I heard it from, nor can I find it when searching, but I do remember that at one point that the Life by You team did let us know, either in a video or a Q&A of some sort, that one of their priorities was to make sure that the early access version of Life by You is stable. Now, I think that it is more likely a reason to have behind delaying the early access version, but from the sounds of things and from my speculations that I made before earlier, it seems to me like it was Paradox Interactive, the publisher, that was setting the release dates, since I imagine that the developer would honestly try to pump the brakes if they had an unstable game, or if they were just simply not ready to go forward with a launch date. However, that doesn't detract from the fact that, from what we the players can tell, Life by You's biggest problem is its human character designs. Now, I was trying to do a bit of research, and I came across a conversation on Reddit, and I know what you're thinking: do not trust anything on Reddit, and I hear you. But I wanted to bring this particular discussion to this video because sometimes I feel like videos have further reach than Reddit conversations, and I felt like it was interesting enough, and honestly, like, it shed light on a couple of things from what I could tell, and I'm really more so trying to put it out there just to see if I've got the correct understanding, or if there is someone who knows better that they can correct me in my understanding. I'm a lifelong learner, I suppose. Anyways, in the Life by You Reddit, user Crying Watercolors, which, by the way, is a great username, shared that they are an animator, and in response to another user, and I'll paraphrase it here, but they mentioned that if game developers wanted a placeholder to upgrade, that the skeleton itself would have to be solid and good to work with. Or that another thing that they could do is make a cheap placeholder that doesn't have many animations attached to it, and that, trying to go back to improve character design would involve either adjusting every animation tied to each rig or having to redo the model and every animation from then on. And that is really what I understood from Cry and Watercolor's explanation. If I am smart, I have put the screenshot of that conversation up on screen while I was kind of paraphrasing there so that you guys can read there and kind of catch what I missed. But I really wanted to put this comment out here to you guys because I honestly didn't do a whole lot of research into like a difference between character animators and 3D modelers. And, when reading this explanation, to me, it seemed plausible and feasible as someone who has none of this experience. And overall, like I said before, I'm more curious about how much work has to actually go into evolving the Life by You human character design because, and again, I have to be honest, I really haven't seen staggering improvements since Life by You has been announced in the human character designs. And this could just be me missing the details here, as I am a self-described big picture person, but I'm just not seeing those changes going forward. But yeah, I'm not seeing the human character design evolution since hearing about Life by You in 2023, and specifically the expressions and the eyes are something that I think could use a lot more improvement on. Okay, expressions are more so fitting under the animation branch, but the eyes are certainly something that would go forward, and I would actually go as far as to say that some of the textures are just not hitting right. Sure, I have observed the part of the artistic direction in that artistic direction video was to present players more of a blank canvas for them to interpret their human characters' appearances on, but the run-of-the-mill Life by You human characters is just underwhelming overall. And this is coming from a person who is more a builder and more of a world creator. And for those, I have no issues with the graphics and all that for that, but your main characters, your protagonist, I say that, in quotations there, your protagonist of a life simulation game is your life simulation characters. That's what I gotta say. It's not the world, it's not the objects, it's not building anything. It is your life simulation characters or sims or what have you, or paras, or what are they called? Zoes. Those are your main characters. That's what the people really connect with the most. And me as a builder, I'm all about building stuff, but but your main characters aren't exactly being received well. And I think that what would help is if you are taking a blank canvas approach to really allow not allow, but really show off different styles, if that makes any sense, having glossier skin tones. It's very hard because they have shown that in some ways, but even just a YouTube short or even an Instagram reel that just uses the same character but gives them a completely different artistic style would be a great way to show how much of a blank canvas it is. Now I'm helping out a $1 million company that doesn't need my help, quite frankly, and it's probably tacky for me to do so, but the human character designs are still a problem, and I think that that's where a lot of people are holding a lot of hope out for. I don't think that updating the Life by You human characters is as straightforward as we, the players, understand it. And, we could use a little more education on what that journey is actually going to look like going forward. I know that a lot of players are going to want that because that's why a lot of players play the game. But yeah. I just don't think that it's as simple as we think it to be. We think that, you just gotta smooth out some edges and all that, but it's really more complicated than that from the way that Cry and Watercolors was explaining it. And again, I put that out there just to see if, that's true, to just verify if that is the correct understanding that I should be walking away with. kind of greedy in these videos sometimes. I'm like, hey, can you check this out for my own understanding? But hey, maybe somebody else is wondering it too. You know, like, and I think that when it comes to Life by You, a lot of players are indeed hoping that the human character designs will make that proper transition into whatever iteration comes next. But if the problems really run deeper than aesthetics, then we may not actually see the early access version of Life by You for a long time, especially if you have to redo animations. I did like, you know, I just like dipped my toe in animations like either last year or a year and a half ago. It is hard, like it takes a long time. It is hard work. I might be able to explain what a symbol is on a good day, but there's no way I'd be able to actually do a lot of what like these artists are honestly able to make look great. And yeah, animations are tough. So if you have to like redo a bunch of work, it's very time consuming to say the very least. And yeah, we may not see that early access version for a long time, especially if they can't give us another date, which I do think would be fair. And again, this is just my speculation and why I wanted to bring it up here in my corner of the internet with you guys, just to verify to see if my understanding of all of this is correct in terms of like 3D modeling and animating and all that. And again, like feel free to drop any links that lead to better understandings, or if there's like a podcast that kind of explains this all, I'll definitely take a look at those. When all is said and done, I have to say that even though I am disappointed that Life by You delayed their early access date for a third time, I also believe that they were likely put in a position where they had to choose the lesser of two evils. And although I do think that the reception of Life by You would have been tremendously worse if players were given an unstable game, for example, Paradox Tectonic and Paradox Interactive haven't been clear on why they have postponed the early access launch and what state the game is in at this particular point in time, of which like I think isn't a good look at all, especially considering that there was a ton of marketing momentum built up when the plug was pulled just 2 weeks out. The time I'm writing, recording, and editing this episode, it is May 31st, a Friday, and I'm planning on releasing this tomorrow, Saturday morning. So if there's an announcement that comes out then, well, you know, that'll just be my luck. Again, in my opinion, metaphorically, it just really looks like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing when it comes to publishers and developers and all of that. But that is me speculating from an outsider's perspective. As I mentioned earlier in the video, although I do have my own reservations and speculations on the reasons why they decided to delay the early access launch for a third time, I am also of the mind that Paradox Interactive and Paradox Tectonic themselves might not actually know where they are at and what their trajectory looks like. And I feel that many of these things can also be true at the same time. Maybe it was unstable, but they also don't know what the trajectory is like. Maybe they uncovered like some sort of a huge bug that turned into something else. Who knows? We just haven't been educated, or we haven't been informed yet on what that actually is and what has actually happened. So yeah. And like another thing as well is like I've really never mentioned this before on my channel, and that's really because I didn't want to sprinkle a mist of negativity over Life by You, but I've always side-eyed the shit out of early access projects because I know how fickle they can truly be. Another reason why I had decided to like add some additional video game spots to my channel as well is just because, you know, I wanted to start playing video games with you guys, of course, but I also knew that early access, can be very fickle to kind of nail down until it actually releases. I will go on record though saying that between all of the life simulation game choices that are falling into players' hands, that for me, Life by You seems to have the most ambitious vision for a video game. And I feel like the potential is still there, so long as it is a project still being pursued. And since at the time of writing this, nothing else has been released, I will continue to hope for the best until we have been advised otherwise. At this time, I am going to give you guys the floor in the comments section. Overall, how are you feeling about the early access delay? Are you losing confidence in the project? Or are you relieved that they delayed the early access version a third time? what improvements are you hoping to see for the early access version, or have you written off Life by You completely for the time being? Feel free to drop your comments below with your thoughts. I just kindly ask that you are respectful. And until next time, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, then feel free to like this video and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you again, and I hope you have yourselves a wonderful day.